Shalom. I am Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. At this moment, we in Israel are in the 6th day of the war thrust upon us by Hamas, where we witnessed brutality worse than ISIS and not seen since the end of the Holocaust. We've all, throughout the world, have seen pictures of the brutality that happened on October 7th, this past Saturday. Given that, and given where we are right now, given the number of people who have been killed, murdered by Hamas, how do we have the strength to go on? How does the Jewish people continue? For the Jewish people, we know that the source of strength throughout the ages that have preserved us as a people throughout all types of oppression and brutality has been one thing, and that is Emunah, our faith in God. How do we continue having Emunah? I want to talk a little bit about this short Torah lesson, a little bit about Emunah, belief in God, trust in God. First of all, a Jew understands that God is with us at all times of our life. God is with us in the greatest celebrations of life, the happiest moments, and God is with us when we sink to the lowest levels and we witness things that we witnessed this past week. God is an active part in this world. And we can't answer the question as to why these evil things occurred. We don't know God's plan in this world. We know that God gives people free choice, and people, even evil people, make their choices. And we need God's protection. Rabbi Nachman said, he summed it up in one sentence. He said, Ha'olam hazeh, this world, hu gesher tsar ma'od, is a very narrow bridge. Ba'ikar, and the most important thing is, shelo lipached klal, to not fear anything. Emunah, true faith in God, enables us to not be afraid of anything, and has enabled us throughout the generations to take on any adversity that we're faced with, even of the worst kind. The Netivot Shalom talks about Emunah as the song of life of the Jew. He talks about how Emunah is inculcated into the Jew from the moment they are born. The evening before a child has his circumcision, and at the circumcision, we say the sentence, Shema Yisrael, listen Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, God is our God, Hashem Echad, God is one. And that is said by every Jew from that moment, from the moment of birth nearly, twice a day. Either it's read to them by their parents or when they're old enough to speak, they say it, the morning and the evening. That's the epitome of Emunah. Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camp for 3 years during the Holocaust, lost his parents, his brother, his pregnant wife, but he retained his vision of human dignity. And in his book, Man Searching for Meaning, he describes the horrific experiences of the concentration camps and asks how was it possible that some of his inmates were able to arise above their reality. And he says those who lived in the concentration camps can remember the people who walked through the barracks and comforted others, giving them their last piece of bread. And he says that is sufficient proof that you can take everything away from a person except one thing. The last of our human freedoms, to choose our own path, to choose how we react to anything. A story is told about a very righteous man living in Europe a couple of 100 years ago, who was very frightened. I mean, this man was afraid of his shadow. And he had to travel from one city to another, so he got into a wagon, had the wagon driver drive him to the other city, and they arrived in the other city in the darkest dark of night. And this righteous man is obviously terribly frightened. He's going to the unknown. There's darkness all around him. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And he's literally shaking. And the wagon driver says, "Don't worry. We're going to be fine. Don't have to worry about anything." And they finally get to their destination, and the righteous person asks this wagon driver, he said, "How is it possible that I'm so frightened and you're not worried about anything?" The wagon driver said, "I've been a wagon driver all my life. My father before me was a wagon driver. His father before him was a wagon driver. And the message that my father gave me," he said, "every day before you leave the house, he said, you have to take God with you in the middle of your heart. Take him in your heart. And if you take God in your heart as you leave the house, don't leave God in the house. Don't leave God in the synagogue. Take God in your heart. You won't be afraid of anything." And the rabbi then understood, and he was able to tell other people how he learned the concept of Emunah from a simple wagon driver. What we seek is Emunah Pshuta, simple Emunah, simple belief, simple trust in God, despite all of the circumstances. We say in the 23rd Psalm, "Gam ki elech begeitz al moves lo ira ra." Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear evil. Why? Ki ata imadi, because you are with me. I wish everybody to have the strength to get through these times. We will get through them. There are sorrows. We can't even comprehend the sorrows that we already have. Hopefully we won't have any more, but if we do, we have to face them with total emunah in God, total faith, belief, and trust in God. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish us all to have times of peace, times when we can see an end to this horror. Wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, a Sabbath of peace. Shabbat Shalom.